time to write a new jingle for Facebook Live. Jingle, jingle. Hi, guys. Sunday, Sunday. I love this day. Okay, so did you guys tune in to watch me sing? Is that why everybody's watching this?
Mirka Washington.
Alright, I'm gonna call
Finland.
Finland's in the hizizzle. Finland, fizzizzle in the hizizzle. Finland's in the house. On the old book of face. Let me see, are we live? There we are. And I'm not frozen! That's exciting, I can see myself moving. No, I can't. Spoke too soon. Let's see, who's watching? Kelly, Laws, Merka, amazing, Satu, Jules, Marie, oh great. So we're live. This thing is on, and you are tuning in and joining me this afternoon for Meatless Meat is Neat. I've been in the process lately of writing a book. Not sleeping, but writing a book. And if you can ask Kenneth. Kenneth, say hi, by the way.
Hi, by the way.
Kenneth is with us, as per usual. I was just saying to a few guests, I'm like, ugh, I don't know how I'm going to talk and get through a Facebook Live because my brain is pretty fried right now because I've been suffering from a little bit of insomnia. It's been officially 2 weeks that I haven't been sleeping through the night, but I have chosen to embrace my sleeplessness as a sign from the universe that I'm meant to be doing more with my hours of the day, because I've been waking up at 3:23, more or less in and around 3:23 every day since last Monday, Tuesday. And I've embraced it the last few mornings and gotten up and had done a lot of legwork on my old book. So you've heard me talking about the fact that I'm working on my third book. It's going to be hopefully done by the end of this year. And it's going to be a little bit about my life story, how I got from A to B. It's going to be a lot of food philosophy and eating disorder recovery stuff for my own personal journey. It's going to be a lot about my personal journey from life of addiction and mental health and sadness to where I am today, here in sunny Costa Rica, living my dream with Rythmia. It's also going to be sprinkled with a lot of recipes that have had a huge impact on me since my youth, and things like my mom's cream cheese sourdough biscuits that she made every Christmas morning for us growing up, all the way to my most favorite raw vegan recipes that helped me transition into that way of living in my 20s to how I eat and cook and prepare and nourish others today. So a lot of the most requested to this point recipes from Rythmia. Just going to have a little sip of my coconut water. Liquid nectar. That's another kind of medicine right there. Coconut water, fresh from the coconuts. Why am I talking about that? Because I'm tired and I just wanted to share that with y'all. And also share with you that I have another book that is currently available on Amazon. Miracle Meals. If you haven't got it, you should. My first cookbook was called Map Wellness Morsels, and I wrote it in 2013. 100% vegan, mostly raw. It does include one non-raw recipe for my vegan lentil loaf that we're going to be talking about today. So, talk about segue. Who else we got watching? Randy Nichols is saying hello. Jules is saying hello. Sean Williams is saying hello. So great. Stacy's saying hello. Stacy Lynn, what up, girl? I said, hey, buddy, I feel like I haven't seen you in a couple weeks. I also feel like everyone is off enjoying the summertime, summer loving this time of year. It's mid-July. I think the first couple of weeks of July are statistically the most common weeks for people to take vacation. So a lot of people are probably off at the cottage, off traveling. Hence why we haven't had so many viewers in our Facebook Lives the last couple of weeks. And that's totally awesome, because I would much rather people be off enjoying your lives if you have things to do outside of watching and tuning into me every Sunday. Because you can come back and watch these videos anytime you want, whether on Facebook or on the YouTube channel. Back to the topic of the day. Meatless meat is neat. I just did a little bit of a post on my personal Facebook page earlier today. I look pretty tired. I'm just seeing myself on the old video over here. I look pretty tired, right? I'm a little bit gray, a little bit baggy. Pardon my appearances. A little bit sleepy. I need some more of this is what I need more of. That's what I'm going to do right now. What was I talking about?
About your night sleep.
But what was I saying about? Oh, yes. I just did a post on my personal Facebook page promoting this Facebook Live, and I just had to say, like, meatless meat is neat. Not that I have any inherent problems with meat, or meat lovers, or meat eaters out there. And if you've been following my story for the last decade, you know that I was very strict raw vegan for a long time. But now I'm very much a foodivore. I eat food. I don't label it any more than that. I don't think that any of us need to be more specific than that. I am mostly plant-based just because that's what makes me feel really good, but then I eat the odd hamburger, the odd piece of chicharron, or, you know, chicken or fish. We serve that on the menu every day, so I don't want, you know, to give the wrong idea that we need to be substituting all of our meat, but it's, you know, certainly beneficial for a lot of people that eat an awful lot of meat. Because it's, you know, we don't need as much as we have often been led to believe that we need to eat. Like, I know growing up, all of our meals, for the most part, were based around protein and then a starch and a vegetable, but really we don't need to be looking at it that way. And meatless meat is fun. It's fun to experiment. That's mostly why I like to do it. So, let's get down to it, shall we? I have notes. Probably not going to follow them. Let's just talk about a few things here. Let's actually go into my book for a second and see what meatless recipes we have on here. What kind of fake meat stuff? Which I've really tried to get out of the habit lately. If you've noticed on my Instagram, I used to label things like raw vegan pizza and raw vegan burgers, and I really am getting in the habit now of just trying to not to name things what they're not. Because pizza that's made of corn and flax with cashew cream on top is not pizza. It's just not pizza. Same with burgers that are made of beans. They're not really hamburgers. We can call them burger patties, I guess, but we can't call them hamburgers. It can be very misleading to some. But in my book, what do we got? Not a whole lot of fake meat going on in the book. I've got baked falafels, which are chickpea based. It's a good source of protein. Got the quinoa chickpea burgers. If you remember, did we do that last week? Was that just last week, the quinoa chickpea burgers? Yes, because we were doing all things quinoa.
I ate it, by the way. It's super delicious.
And yeah, Kenneth loved it. He mowed down on that.
Yeah.
Also, guys, let me know if you've tried any of these recipes. Put it in the comments. Let me know. I know I've got lentil and brown rice burgers, and thank goodness I referred to these all as burgers, not hamburgers in any of these, because that would be putting my foot in my mouth. But look at the really fun thing is we can present said fake burgers and whatnot in such a way that they they can be a little bit confusing. That's a white bean burger with sweet potatoes served on a bun that looks like a burger. Talks like a burger, but it ain't no burger. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about the two really common plant-based meat alternatives. The first one is, you know, raise your hand if you know what that is. Tofu. Gets a bad rap a lot these days, depending on who you talk to. As a phytoestrogen, it's not so great for some women, especially in moving into menopause. But I still eat it, not very often. We don't use it here at Rythmia. I don't serve it on the menu. I did at the beginning, but it's not very cost effective, number one, here in Costa Rica. But I can't get good quality tofu down here. And what? I just realized I'm like holding myself up. This is not at all hygienic. I'm just going to rest on my cutting board. Goodness gracious. Jerry, are you watching? Jerry, Randy, is tuning in to this good stuff that I'm putting out there into the internet. I'm so tired. I'm giddy. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm going to stay on this thought trajectory before I go over there, else I'm going to be, this is going to be like a hummingbird today. Especially, I'm always like a hummingbird with my attention span, but more so today. So tofu, getting good quality tofu. I always look for if I'm going to use it, organic, sprouted, for two reasons. Organic, first thing is you know if you can get organic always for anything. It's great. It's in your budget, but also because soybeans are nearly always, when they're not organic, GMO, genetically modified, and we just don't know enough about that yet. So I don't like to risk it if I can avoid it. And sprouted is a really great way to go as well, because as with, you know, as we've talked about sprouting in the past, it's just a little bit more packs a bit more of a nutritional punch.
One guy from Morocco.
Morocco in the house, amazing. That's super cool. Oh yeah, everyone tell me where you're watching from.
Miami.
Miami?
No, Miami is the name.
I am. Okay, I'm going to scroll back down here and see who else is watching. Ariana Montgomery saying hello. Jackie Werner's from Florida. Stacy Lynn saying I would like that book. You can order it on Amazon, Stacy. Miracle Meals. You can buy my book and Jerry's book, Shoot the Moon Said, for under $40. Stacy Lynn's asking me, what's the bread? Are you asking about the bread that was in the picture?
No, the burger.
What's that?
From the burger.
The burger from last week, or the one that was just in the picture?
The picture.
That was the whole wheat version of the bread that my bakery that I currently own in Nosara, Costa Rica, called Baker's Dozen. It is our 40% or 60% whole wheat bun. That's what that bun was. So it was full of gluten and full of deliciousness. Available in Nosara, Costa Rica. You can find Baker's Dozen on Facebook. It's my ex-husband is the baker. It's a really good bread. But we did do a really good quinoa, avocado, almond flour based burger bun on last week's Facebook Live. So you tune in and check out Quintessential Quinoa. Kenneth enjoyed it, right?
Super delicious.
Super delicious
The
and
flavor
protein.
from avocado is insane.
There we go. Then
Very bad.
Stacy Lynn saying, does tofu cause cancer? Yeah, that's what some of the doctor folks are saying out there. But I think anything in small amounts, if you like it, it's plant-based protein, you get organic sprouted. That's how I roll. Ivan is saying hi from Morocco. Yep. Kelly Laws is saying be picky about that tofu. Yep, that's what I was just saying. Lamia Corey saying hello beautiful, we'll be back in October. Oh yay, can't wait to have your meals again, so good. Awesome, awesome. Austin, Texas, Kelly saying hello. Patrick is watching from rehab. Where's that? Where in what state? Are you in the States? David Alt just joined. Hi David. Nice to see you on the interwebs. Alright. Okay, so the next plant-based product that gets a lot of, well, it doesn't get nearly as much, and if it didn't actually get mainstreamed the way a lot of other healthy superfood meat alternatives have in the past, but it's tempeh. So this is also a soy-based product, but a lot of my nutritional friends that I worked with back in Toronto, they still, even if they were against tofu and didn't want people eating tofu and didn't recommend it to their clients, they still recommended the odd meal of tempeh. And the difference here is this is a whole bean. As you can see, if you get close, you can see the texture. It's a whole fermented soybean product. So it's much less processed than the typical tofu, which obviously you can see that this tofu especially has been really processed. It's a pretty soft texture. It's been processed pretty well. It doesn't look anything like the bean. This still actually holds the bean shape. And it's been fermented. And these are old Asian, this was actually Bali, like an Indonesian, not Balian specifically, but an Indonesian dish originally, I do believe. And so they fermented the soybeans. And so it's super, super high in protein. And I think much more meaty in texture and tasty. So I always choose tempeh over tofu if I have the option. And I've just discovered recently that one of my supermarkets here in Costa Rica carries one of my favorite brands of the tempeh. This one here is a pre-marinated smoky maple bacon flavor, so it already kind of tastes like bacon. And I have a lot of people that have asked me in the past because I used to use this in a lot of like catering events and things like that. I don't use it so much here in Costa Rica anymore, but people always ask me how to cook it for the best results, and I always make sure I recommend that, especially if it's not pre-sliced and marinated like this. Like you quite often buy it in blocks, like much like you buy tofu in blocks, you buy it in, but it's just a tempeh block. If you're buying it like that, I highly recommend that you pre-steam it, like for 10-15 minutes, just steam it, and that's going to help bring out any of the bitterness. There can be a bit of a bitterness in fermented tempeh, and it's also going to start the cooking, like the recooking process, and soften it up and get in a nicer texture. And then after you steam it, you can marinate it in anything from, a combination of what we did with, like what we're going to talk about later with our bacon. You can marinate it in any sauce you want. I like to marinate it in like soy sauce mixed with peanut butter and sriracha. And then you cook it however you want to cook it, whether you're baking it, grilling it, pan-searing it, and then that is the best way. So always pre-steam your blocked tempeh, slice it up, marinate it, or put your seasonings on it, whatever you're going to do with it, and then your cooking way of choice. What is that? What is that?
Something
English?
like that.
Who talks like that? Me, I talk like that. Okay. All right, let's see who else. Has anyone got anything to say about that? Plant-based is what I want. I'm learning so much today. Okay, good, because we're doing all plants all the time. Meatless meat is neat. So I'm going to set these aside. And we're going to get talking about some other stuff. I'm going to make a mess. Thank you, Kenneth. I don't know what I'd do without you. Not just with these Facebook Lives, but this man saves my butt on the daily. Coconut break. What do we have for time? 2:15. So, I talked I talked briefly about my first cookbook at the beginning of this Facebook Live, and I don't know what kind of accent that's supposed to be. It's a bit British, and a bit hick, and a bit tired. I talked briefly about my first cookbook, which was Mac Bonus Morsels, and when I was writing that, I was taking a lot of the recipes that, at that point, that book was written because I was doing a lot of online blogging. I was writing for several magazines, print magazines, and I was teaching cooking classes. And at every event that I hosted, I always had people asking, Meg, do you have a recipe for A? Do you have a recipe for this? Do you have a recipe for that? And I'd be like, yeah, I do, but I can't remember where it was. I think it was written in Inspired Health magazine, or it was on in this magazine, or it was on Huffington Post, or this. And I just got I felt like I needed to compile everything in one place. So I wrote this book, and I had a few recipes that I'd done several times, but I wanted to make sure that they would work for the at-home cook. So I had my family and friends recipe test a lot of the stuff. And I had both my brother-in-law and one of my sisters, as well as a couple of friends, recipe test my lentil loaf recipe, which is a version of a recipe that I experimented with when I was doing some of my culinary training back then. And the only complaint, I got rave reviews about the flavor and the final product, but the only complaint I got from everyone was that it was quite what's the word I'm trying to think of? It took a lot of time to prepare. I don't know why my brain's not working. So I would recommend, if you do this recipe, which I'm going to recommend you pick up my first book for, or you find it on the internet, Meg's Lentil Loaf. That you make several, like triple or quadruple the batch, and then you make them, bake them, freeze them. That's what I used to do. I used to make a bunch of these, and this is what they look like, by the way. This is my meatless lentil meatloaf with a molasses tomato glaze. And I used to make at least 4 of these, so I would do 4 recipes, and then I would bake them off, and once they were cool, I would slice them into slices, which we're about to do, and then I would freeze them into individual slices and wrap them in foil, and then just reheat them in the oven every time I wanted to have meatless. Whoops! It's quite heavy. So, long and the short of it, this recipe is lentil-based, obviously. It's got oat flour, it's got a bit of gluten-free breadcrumbs or regular breadcrumbs. It's got a mix of ton of tasty vegetables, carrot, mushroom, zucchini, garlic, onion that I've sauteed with a bunch of seasonings, including cinnamon, cumin, curry, thyme, oregano, and then I've just processed it and combined it with a few other of my favorite flavorings for this specific recipe, which includes green apple and raisins. Delicioso. And then it makes this beautiful meatless meatloaf, which again, I guess I should start calling this something else. It's just a lentil loaf. We've already split it down the middle, so I'm not going to go too crazy. But what I would do is I would make a bunch of these. I'd eat a whole one myself for dinner. Just kidding. But look at that! Look at how good that is! Tell me that doesn't look like ground meat!
What is going on over here?
We're live on Facebook. I do this every week. And I made a lentil meatloaf that looks like meatloaf, right? Shit! Shit, the moon said. That looks like lentil. That looks like meatloaf. So, as I'm saying, do you guys want a taste test?
Yeah.
Do you mind being live on Facebook?
No, I don't.
Oh my goodness, and we have taste testers. So, I'm going to just slice up in little pieces in case you hate it. Put a few pieces on there. Kenneth, you can try it too. I'll hold it. Oh, you're going to do it?
Food it?
Say hello,
Hi.
6,000 people.
Usually up to 12 to 15 view in, so you're going to be eating lentil loaf for the masses.
When you guys arrive?
Yesterday, last night.
And you are?
Kyle.
Aaron.
Aaron.
Nice
Ah.
to meet
And
you.
Meg.
To meet you guys
Yeah.
on Facebook.
You like that?
Thank you. We had to check out what was going on over here.
Yeah.
Some kind of commotion.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks for
That's
popping
so good.
by.
Thank you.
You can hang out if you want. Pull up a chair. So that's the lentil loaf. So it looks pretty meaty, right? So what I would do is I would just keep slicing this up, and then wrap this in foil, and then reheat it in the oven, just like super low. When I was living in Toronto, this is how I actually fed myself when I was packing up. For the last 6 months I lived in Toronto, I was writing this cookbook. I was selling all of my belongings. I was finishing up my yoga teacher training, like certifications with essays and things like that. I was doing a million things at once. So I would prep something like this on the weekend and then have it sliced up and ready to go. And when I get home from work, I would take a piece of this, take some quinoa, cooked quinoa, and mix the vegetables with a bit of turmeric and ghee, wrap up the foil, throw them in the oven, and then I'd let it cook away low and slow for 45 minutes while I got on my computer and did a chapter of my cookbook or wrote out a couple of recipes. And it was a really great time saver. So I've got a plate over here. I'm gonna just make up a pretty plate that we'll take a picture of later. Look at how nice that looks, right? So good. So this, I'm gonna put this on this plate too. Yeah. Yeah. Dun! Sound effects. So I'm super stoked. Did you try it, Kenneth?
No.
You didn't try it? It smells pretty meaty too. I mean, it smells kind of like Thanksgiving, right? And this would be a great, you know, even this recipe as we're looking at it, and I'm like, this would be a yummy one to make into patties and and use as burgers, and then you could freeze them individually as burgers as well. All right, so like I said, that recipe I think is available. It might even be on my blog at my website. But I'm not going to post this one in the comments because, like I said, it's pretty time-consuming. Is the word what I was trying to think of earlier. It is pretty time-consuming, and therefore it's a super long recipe. Just because it's a lot of ingredients, but really at the end of the day, it doesn't take that long. Once if you don't mind food prep, like chopping and all of that. Do you want another piece, Kenneth? If you don't mind chopping and things like that, chopping. You don't mind chopping. It's not that bad of a recipe. It's quite therapeutic for me. P.S. We had some internet issues earlier this afternoon, and I was all concerned because I spent so much time in the kitchen over the last 24 hours prepping all of this stuff, and I was like, of all the days for me to have to cancel this Facebook Live. But here we are. All right, let's see. Who else is here? Anna Maria's watching. David, time-consuming. Yes, thank you. It's always the silliest, the easiest things that I can never remember. Lindy Moffat saying, Meg, you're making me laugh. You're so funny. I'm sorry. Thank you. David, I'll ship me some. David, I'll make this for you next time I see you here. For shizzle. Okay, so sticking to my plan, the next thing we're going to talk about is something that you might have seen somewhere on the internet at some point as of late because it was a bit of a thing for a while. Cauliflower steak. Again, not a steak. Well, I guess if you define steak as just a big chunk of something, like a beef steak, this is a steak of cauliflower. So the idea with this, and I did this in one of my trainings that I did with when I was moving into the plant-based world. The idea here is you usually, with every head of cauliflower, you can usually get 2 or 3 steaks out. That's it, because the idea is we just cut through the cauliflower head. The big head was like this. We cut into 3 steaks through the middle because we need the center, the core is what holds the steak itself together. Get my drift? You can Google that, you're going to get the step-by-steps. And all I'm going to do today is take a little bit of olive oil, or whatever oil you want to use. I'm just going to brush it, because there's many different ways you can go about this. When I first started using steaks this way, I would braise the steak in a low baking dish with vegetable stock to help infuse some flavor and get the cooking process started. Dandy grill over here. Pop that right on my grill, and while we're talking about some other stuff, this is going to cook away. This is like a grill that I bought new like a month, like in January in Canada. It harkens me back to the 90s. When I was in college, I lived off of chicken breasts with a Cajun seasoning cooked on my grill, my indoor grill, and steamed carrots and Brussels sprouts. That's all I ate. That was like my jam in college. My roommates thought I was crazy. And then I would go out and drink like 19 beers and 25 tequila shots. And I was convinced I was leading a very healthy lifestyle. Okay, so 2 other things I'm going to talk about real quick here, because we've already talked about them on other Facebook Lives, is these are just other plant-based meat alternatives. This is a really fine coconut bacon, which we did, I think, twice now. We've at least talked about it twice. And this is my sun-dried tomato and sunflower seed taco meat crumble. So these are 2 other alternatives that we've done on Facebook Lives in the past. So if you want to know about that, check out... I don't remember which Facebook Live I did the taco meat on, but we've done it a couple of times.
Months ago.
Months ago, yeah. And this one we've done in the coconut, everything coconut Facebook Live a couple of months ago. So those are 2 alternatives. So this is, great. That's either both they're both nut-free recipes. So nut allergies are pretty rampant these days, and I'm slowly trying to get my menu here at Rythmia a lot less allergy prone. So I'm eliminating all the gluten slowly but surely, like soy sauce and everything. And I'm going to try to eliminate as much nut as I can, but I'm not going to be able to eliminate it all. Because while seeds are a great substitution, sometimes it suffers in flavor. But these are both nut-free options, which are really great. And then there's two other ways that we can make bacon. Well, there's many different ways that we can make bacon. Bacon! Let's call it bacon, because it ain't bacon. Let's not kid the world, especially when it comes to bacon. I've had a lot of people out there say, Megan, do not kid. That is not bacon. And I agree, wholeheartedly. But here, this is my other two versions, and I'm going to post the recipes for these. The guys in my kitchen were super stoked about this one. So this is a rice paper. So you know, we've done the spring rolls here, and when I did the Thai, I think one of my first Facebook Lives we did Thai food way back in October, and we did summer rolls that had basil and mango in them. So this is just the round paper Thai spring roll papers that you can buy, and you soak them in water and then you fill them, and that's typically how you get a lot of raw burritos and stuff like that. So what I've done is I've just using a pair of scissors. Let me just check on this cauliflower because I'm smelling it. Oh, hallelujah, how beautiful does that look? So I just take those round ones and with a really good pair of scissors sliced it into strips that were this thick. And then I layered two pieces together so it was a little bit thicker, and then just put water to make them adhere. And then for both this and the eggplant, I've just gone and made a really simple marinade that I brushed on both sides and baked it off. And the marinade was super easy. What I did was maple syrup, nutritional yeast, soy sauce, liquid smoke, garlic powder, paprika, and a bit of cumin. And I'll write down in the comments here the portions that you can use to play around with, but it's really up to your taste how you want to do that. I'm going to take this off and plate it. So yummy. Dun, dun, dun. Look at that, grill marks and everything, my friends. So fun. So this bacon is really great, and the marinade can be used for all of these things. You could dehydrate. I mean, this won't work as well in the dehydrator, the rice paper, but the eggplant and coconut will. And you can use the same marinade. You could just make a big batch of marinade and marinate a bunch of coconut, marinate a bunch of eggplant, marinate a bunch of the rice paper wraps, and then you have this plethora of options. So I'm going to show you right now. Like, listen to this. Like bacon. It's chewy and it's crunchy. And Kenneth?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. What do you think?
It's bacon.
It's bacon. Mm-hmm. It's bacon. Okay, so I figured since we're not doing a lot of cooking today, I'm mostly just talking, so I wanted to, whip up a real quick recipe. What would you like me to use to make your bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich? Would you like eggplant bacon or rice paper bacon or both? For you. Kenneth?
Both for me.
Both. All right. So I went ahead and I already toasted 2 pieces of bread. Sound effects. And I don't need a fork, I need a spoon. And then I've got here Meg's Miracle Sauce, aka the Yummy Sauce, but I'm renaming it. I'm gonna put a bit of that on the bottom of our bread. Because if you've never made a sandwich, you're gonna be happy you tuned into my Facebook Live, where I'm gonna teach you all how to make a sandwich. Running out of ideas, friends. Give me some, throw me a bone here. All right, so then I'm gonna put on some tomato. I've got 2 beautiful, look at this organic deliciousness. So, so good. A couple slices of that. We're gonna take a picture of this before you can eat it, Kenneth. Sorry. A little bit of lettuce, mixed organics. Look at how beautiful that is. So pretty. And then we'll do a little bit of our bacons. So we'll do one of those. Those. See, this is the eggplant, so we slice that. See, the tricky thing about the eggplant is I like leaving the outer edges on because it makes it look nice, but it can make it a little bit chewy. So you might be fighting with it a little bit when it comes time to eat this, Kenneth, and just be forewarned about that. And we're just going to do it like that, and then like that. What do you think? Does that look delicious? So in case you never knew how to make a bacon, lettuce, and tomato. Now you know how to make a bacon or an ELT, an eggplant, lettuce, and tomato sandwich. And we're gonna not let Kenneth eat that yet because I'm gonna take a picture after this Facebook Live is done to post on the Insta feeds. But look at how pretty that is. It's the plant-based sandwich that eats like a meal. All right, hands off, Kenneth. So one last thing, I've gone and, where'd that steak? I made this steak. Look at the grill marks on that. Crazy. And then I went and I made just a little tiny garlic, lemon zest, parsley, olive oil, lemon juice, red pepper, like almost like a chimichurri. It's just a really pretty way. You could serve this as like an entrada. In Spanish, we call like an appetizer an entrada, ¿verdad?
Yeah.
That's what's happening here. I'm confusing my languages. Like an appetizer or an entrada. This would be a really nice way to do so. Look at that sauce. Just let that on the plate a little bit. So good. And then, because we have it, maybe even some of our meatless taco meat.
Beautiful.
So that, my friends, is our meatless meat being oh so neat. Can't be beat. Here in the heat. Nothing smells like stinky feet. Except for nutritional yeast. Okay. I think I need to write that poem down. That was a good one. And like, is there any questions? Do I have anything? Why am I yelling? Why am I yelling? Dun, 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 dun. I'm looking, I'm scanning. Christine is watching, Tim is watching, Amber's watching. Hey Amber, how are you? Jeff Dex, my cousin, is watching. Sean Williams is asking me what's the sauce. It's the Miracle Yum sauce, which is available, going to be my next cookbook. And that's it. Hallelujah. It is 2:32. I want to let everyone know I'm going on a little bit of a holiday, but do not fret. I will be live next Sunday, but I'm going to be live from Croatia, which is 8 hours, I believe, ahead of us. So I will be live at 2 p.m. Costa Rica time, 4 p.m. Eastern, but it will be like 10 p.m. Croatia time. So I have a feeling what I'll do is I'll find a really fun restaurant that's got some neat food options and potentially go live from there. A little Facebook Live on the road. Or maybe there'll be stuff that I discover that I want to present to you at home in the kitchen in the house that we're staying at, and I'll do it that way. But either way, I will be live next Sunday, which is, what, the 15th?
15th, yeah.
Yeah, so I will be live on the 15th, but then on July the 22nd, I'm taking the day off. I'm going to be traveling, actually. I'll be traveling from Croatia to Madrid for a couple of days, where I will be eating my face off in Madrid. But it's a travel day, so I will not be live on the 22nd. So take the day off, everyone. You don't need to be here. But I will be back on the 29th, and it will be avocados, I believe. Yes, I'm doing all things avocado. What? And we're also going to talk about prepping to do our first Making It with Meg segment. So if you have missed it, I've had a lot of viewers request that we make a segment where the week ahead of time I give you a recipe and all the ingredients and the equipment that you need, and you have all week long to gather that stuff up, and then we all cook together. So you set up your laptop or your phone in the kitchen and you cook along with me. So we're going to see how that works out, because I've never done anything like that, so that will be fun. So that's what's happening on that'll be July the 29th. Seriously, where does the time go? I posted this thing on Facebook, one last thing before I go, the other day, in those little text shareables, and it was like, June is over, question mark? July-in. I thought that was really funny, like Julying, you're lying. Anyways, I thought it was funny. And that, my friends, is all I'm going to say, because I'm bound to do something ridiculous, because I haven't done that yet today. But it's 2:34. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Again, if you have any ideas, suggestions, topics, recipes, themes that you would like to see, please write it in the comments. I would rather do what you guys want to see instead of always just what I want to do. So let me know. And Kenneth will hold the fort down the week that I'm not here, just holding the space, sending y'all love, and we'll see you guys from Croatia.
From Croatia. Bye-bye, everybody.
Ciao.